Welcome to the Possibility Action Network podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Middleton, aka Possibilityman. We're committed to bringing you guests who strive to better people's lives and serve as a force for good in the world. Our guest today is Sabrina Victoria. She's the founder of Human Better 365, the Sober Society, and Breaking Free from Narcissistic Abuse. She talks about human transformation and healthy living. She's an avid blogger and vlogger. She holds several certifications, including a master in neuro-linguistic practitioner. She's the author of the 21-Day No Alcohol Challenge. Sabrina Victoria, welcome to the show today.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
All right, look, I'm looking forward to our conversation. But first, a reminder to our listeners and our viewers, follow, like, and share this podcast wherever you find it. Your support matters and is appreciated. Sabrina, I've been looking forward to talking to you now for, I think, several months. I'm so happy to be with you. Got a bunch of questions to ask, but the first thing I want you to talk about, I introduced you, but I would love for you to give us a brief synopsis of your biography in your own words.
Yeah. Ooh, my biography. I run a all-female community right now called Her Nation. It's filled with females who have endured all kinds of things regarding health, wellness, narcissistic abuse, women who are coming out of their trauma and they're on their healing journey. I believe that it's one of the most important parts of being a human is to step into that journey. There's so many humans that are still in their story and they're still in some darkness, and linking up with the correct coach, reading the right books that really pertain to your story and your past, I think is very, very important. The three things that really make up who I am and the community that I serve is community, number one, education, meaning educating yourself on things that you don't know that you don't know. Say that again twice. And networking.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. I like what you do, and that's what I wanted to talk with you. I also noticed that you have clearly a passion for women. Can you tell us about that beyond, being a woman yourself, this passion that you have for women?
Yeah, when this journey started for me, the Me Too movement hadn't happened yet. So this was a while ago, back when you would Google motivational speaker or inspirational stories, Google would produce hundreds of white old men
Mm.
telling us that we can do better and be better. Plus Les Brown. We all love Les Brown, right? But there is obviously a pivot, but my story is very conducive to a person who would be looking to step out of her story. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I got pregnant at the age of 20 and I didn't have a husband. So because I got pregnant out of wedlock, I was cast out as a sinner. I lost communication or community with everyone I had ever known my whole life, including my mom, my dad, and my brother and sister. And I was completely isolated. I led the stereotypical single mom, just broke life of no money. And when I say no money, I mean like digging in the couch cushions for 25 cents to put gas in my car because I'm negative in my bank account type of broke. Eviction notices on my apartment door every month, just dark.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of despair, lots of suicidal thoughts, lots of postpartum.
Yeah.
And I, fell into a toxic relationship soon after that and had to dig my way out of that entire scenario by opening up a secret bank account, starting 3 online businesses, taking my power back, and walking out of that relationship, almost a decade later with just my clothes, my son, and my bicycle, and starting all over again with a mattress on the floor. And that's what really cast me into my healing journey into
Mm-hmm.
this is not my life. Like, this is not who I was meant to be. I was meant to be somebody different, and trusting that and stepping into that.
Yeah.
Very scary.
Yeah. Sounds like you've learned a lot. We're going to dig deeper into some of the things that you've learned along the way. But first, I want to ask you, because I've been around a very strict, fundamentalist religious organization myself, and just want you to share with us, what is that experience like? I know people have different experiences in those kinds of institutions, but what was that like for you?
You know what? My story is and I don't know if it's because I have healed, like I'm good, but
Sure.
I don't really have a whole lot bad to say. I so appreciate that my parents wanted what was best for me.
Mhm.
That's the whole point of religion, right? Your parents think that they are doing what's good for the rest of their family. So, like, thank you for that. And Jehovah's Witnesses also a lot of opportunity for speaking. There is a lot of like
Yeah.
going around the mics and speaking. There is opportunity to be on stage. You're also going door to door constantly. Some people have a really like you talk to some people and they're like, I hated that. I loved it. I loved going door to door. I loved talking about religion. I loved talking about God. I loved meeting new people. And I think that that was something that was just innate in me. I mean, later on in years, I ended up in sales. I ended up, being on stages and talking to
Mhm.
people. So I don't know if that was already in me or if that was something that was kind of fostered. I have no
Mhm.
idea. And then even the holidays, Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate any holidays, not even your birthday. And when I left the religion right around 26 years old or so, I had to make a decision. Like, am I going to now celebrate the holidays like normal people do?
Mhm.
Or am I going to continue down the path of not celebrating the holidays because I've never had it? I really don't care. It really doesn't matter. And that has really been able to allow me to step into my authenticity of not wanting to be put in any box. So I don't want to
Yeah.
be in a box where I have to celebrate something. And I don't want to be put in a box where I don't have to. So really being able to sit with myself authentically um, has helped me financially
Yeah.
and also just second thinking like they're both boxes. They're
Mhm.
both boxes. And when
Yeah.
you're
Okay.
choosing one or the other.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's to me, that's surely evidence that you have grown and healed and matured for sure. Now, I take something that you said from one of your platforms as your brand promise. I'm not sure if it were like all of your businesses or just one of your business, but you said, my priority. You talked about your priority. There's a word that you use along with that, but I want you to give it to us. What's that priority? Your priority.
Oh my
Oops.
gosh, I don't know. There's so many.
Okay, you
But I'm
mentioned one word. Let me give you the word that I saw that struck me.
okay.
You said my happiness is my priority.
Ooh, yeah. Definitely. You have to realize,
Uh, Stephen.
Stephen, I went a really long time not being happy. I went a
Hmm.
really long time making sure other people were happy before me. Like I was the type of person where I would, if somebody was not in a comfortable seat or bed, I would sleep on the floor
Hmm.
and make sure that with no blankets and no pillow and be fine before I allowed somebody else to not have a couch or a bed to sleep on. Like I always put myself last. I've always, in every scenario, I go above and beyond. I do whatever it takes. I add to the list. But what was happening is I was pouring from an empty cup all the time, all the time.
Yeah.
And this led to so much heaviness and so much like unnecessary overwhelm
Hmm.
and really recognizing that I can't like buy, not monetarily, but like buy people's love. People
Hmm.
have to just be wanting to be around me and wanting to love me. And it's not about money or giving or doing, it's about
Hmm.
being and
Hmm.
really stepping into that, like what makes me happy and what, um, creates a calmness in me
Yeah.
without overextending myself.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. When I saw that, it really hit me something good. I felt something good. The other part that I saw, and I said, well, this is a brand promise. I'm making it up, right? It's like you said, your life, speaking to your clients, speaking to your fans on social media, you said, your life is my mission. Do you recall writing something like that? And what did you mean?
Yes. Listen, I don't know if I was born with some sort of like optimism,
Mhm.
right? Even my parents will be like, I don't know where you got that from. Like, that
Mm.
is not from us. But to me, we are alive. Like, we're alive. Like, you and I woke up today.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of thousands of people all over the world that did not wake up today. Literally, they did not wake up today. And I am so grateful. Like, when people ask me just in passing, how are you? How's your day? And they're expecting good, fine. I am like, I am freaking fabulous. I am amazing. I am fantastic. And people will stop. They'll be like, oh my gosh, I've never heard anyone say that before. Or they'll ask, like, why? Or no kidding, I am too.
Mm.
But that's where that comes from. It's like reminding people that we are alive, like we have life. How magnificent is it to be able to wake up? I don't care what your life looks like. I don't care
Mm.
what your life looks like. You woke up today and you have a chance to do something amazing for yourself, for your
Yeah.
family, for your community. And I just think that that is such a gift that so many people take for granted.
Right. I love that. I love that for sure. Um, you're an advocate of human transformation. A lot of people talk about transformation, write about transformation. I'll have two questions. I'll just put it out there and let you respond to it. What is transformation to you? What does that mean to you? And secondly, while you respond to that, I know you're going to say yes. Can people really transform in a way like no kidding? Things have changed.
Yes, people can really transform, but they have to want to.
Mm.
It's like your identity. I mean, I'm sure you're in this arena. It's like you're we are connected so closely to like who we are. So to get rid of that, like when I had to get rid of my victim mentality of like, oh, poor me, listen to my story. I'm a single mom. Ooh, I was broke. Oh, I had a horrible relationship. That's why I'm this way. That's why I lash out like this. This is why I have attitude. This is why I get scared. This is why I'm defensive. Instead of hanging on to that story and allowing that cloud to hover over my life for the rest of my life. People do this. They have
Mm.
something that happened to them for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is. They come to realization that they don't want it anymore. They leave. Good on you. But then they stay in that dark place because they continue to just replay the story. We all have these
Yeah.
people in our life where the moment you meet them, you know every effed up thing that happened in their life. Everything.
Mm.
They just retell the whole story. And I'm over here like, girl, what are you doing now? Like, good
Yeah.
on you for getting out of that. But what are you doing now to like step up into whoever you're actually supposed to be? We're all
Yeah.
dealt cards and we're all dealt cards throughout our life. So I think it's
Mm.
important to recognize like, yes, story past, and there's going to be more story. There's going to be
Mm.
more things. There's going to be death. There's going to be cancer. There's going to be hair loss. There's going to be diet issues, health issues. There's going to be car crashes, house, finances, COVID, right? So many things. And that's just a continuation, but it's like, how long do you stay in the darkness of the story before you
Mm.
step out and say, okay, yes, and next?
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
And that's where the transformation really comes in. And it's not, a lot of people mix up like transformation and personal development with positive, negative, negative positivity. What is that called? Um,
Yeah. Well, we got you.
toxic
Keep going. Yeah.
toxic
Yeah.
positivity. Like, oh, Sabrina just expecting everyone to be happy all of the time, and
Mm.
that's not realistic.
Mm.
No, absolutely, that's not realistic. What we're teaching is yes, anger, yes, sadness, yes, frustration, yes, anxiety, but how do you deal with it as a healthy human? As a
Mhm.
healthy human, not as a human who's angry and then just starts throwing things, not as somebody who's sad and then falls into a deep depression and stops showering and eating and just lays in bed and watches Netflix all day. Like, how do you be emotion? How do you have emotions, but then deal with it as a healthy human and learning the tools to be able to do that? That's what the transformation is. It's learning these little tiny things that you can do to change the mindset so that you can then say, yes, angry, and this is how I'm going to deal with my anger. I am going to 1, 2, 3, depending on the situation, because of new tools that you have learned. See, when I was going through all of this, I didn't know that you could be angry and like not yell. Like, I did not know that, because I grew up with, and my relationships were, you're angry, you yell really loud for like a long time. And then at my healing journey, I started to meet people who like got angry and then like didn't yell. And I was like, what is this? Who are these people? Who are these people that just talk about anger and you know, communicate frustration without raising their voice to an insane level? You know, there's, you can still, I still like talk sternly, right? But you know, we're not getting ridiculous anymore. And it's really how to check yourself, you know, and these are the things that bring us happiness. These are the things that don't raise the levels and the anxiety in our body. Like, how many of us have gotten, you know, of your listeners here listening who have gotten angry, and then all of that anger stays with you for like hours or days. And you're just doing the silent treatment to people that you love, supposedly, for hours or days go by. And then anytime they elicit a conversation, you're yelling like crazy. Like, there's actually people who get angry, have conversations, and then they're like not angry anymore within like a few hours. That's a thing. And that's something that I have learned. I remember when I first met my fiance 6 years ago, we'd get into a heated little spat, 60 seconds, and I'd be done. I'd say exactly what I needed to say, and then I would be done. And he would be like, you're kidding. Wait, what? We're going to bring this up again, right? Like, you're going to rehash this. You're going to use this against me. You're saying you're fine, but you're not really fine. And then we would just go on with our day. See, sometimes people do that and the whole day's messed up. The whole day. Like, if you had an argument in the morning, you can just count on not doing anything for the rest of the day with that person, because they're just not, they don't know the tools to be able to calm themselves, to be able to have a nice time with that person that you love. So it's learning those things. We can get on with our lives and we can be happy. I like being happy.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, so, you know, you talk about a healthy lifestyle. Does that, I know that includes the psychological, you know, healthy living type thing. Does it also, well, tell us about it. Does it also include nutrition? Healthy lifestyle.
100%.
That's a huge part of your work. So yeah.
Yeah, 100% nutrition. Lots of healthy eating. My very first coaching arena that I stepped into was health and wellness. That was like my first venture into coaching, was health and wellness. I was a vegan at the time. I'm no longer vegan, but all fruits, veggies. Now I do more of an 80-20. I do intermittent fasting, but yeah, it's all in what you put into your body. One of the things that I always say, if you are leery of that, is to just start paying attention to how your body feels and how you feel after eating certain things. So instead of just getting a headache and being like, oh, I have a headache, let me take aspirin, taking some time to think about what you just ate. What did you just eat within the last few hours? Or drink within the last few hours? If your stomach hurts, if you're burping, if you're farting, if you're bloated, to start to really recognize what you've eaten for the last few hours of that day and start to connect dots. And you'll start to realize that certain foods, processed foods that you put into your body, are causing these ailments, which then turn into, you know, long-term thing, weight gain, diabetes, you know, autoimmune diseases, all these things, because of this constant garbage that we're putting in. So, you know, I don't market myself as a health and wellness coach anymore. I haven't done certs in 8 years. But so the only advice that I have on that is pay attention. Just pay attention to what your body is telling you and it will tell you what it appreciates you eating and what it doesn't appreciate you eating.
Yeah, I got you. Clean eating does make a huge difference, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go deeper, there's another subject that's huge for you, huge, and that is sobriety. And I also heard you say, and correct me if I got it wrong, you said you could teach a person to guarantee their sobriety. Why is this huge? And can you give us a glimpse into this guarantee of sobriety?
Yeah, so my fiance and I run a community called Sober Society, and very, very proud of the programs that we run in-house through that community. And it all kind of stemmed from, so I've been sober for 17 or 18 years. My fiance's been sober
Congratulations.
for 16 years. Yeah. And I got sober because I was just being a horrible mother. Like just straight up. I was, driving drunk. I was coming home with hangovers, trying to take care of a little baby, and just passing out on the floor while playing Legos. And I just had an epiphany. I was just like, this is not the type of mom I am. Like, I'm a good mom. This is not what a good mom would be doing. And there's a few other stories wrapped in there as far as scenarios that I got put in, my ex and I, and scenarios that happened with us that really just led me to, I'm just gonna try not drinking for a little while. I didn't really know about sobriety. I didn't know about AA. I didn't know about I just was like, this is not working for me. So I stopped. I was like, I'm just gonna do it for a week or two, whatever, just see what happens. And I loved it. I love not being hungover. I love just being myself. I love not having to worry about dying. I mean, it felt good. So I did it for a month, then 6 months, then a year. And then once I got to a year, that's like a fork in the road.
Wow.
Am I going to keep doing
That's
this?
nice.
Keep doing this. So I kept doing it. And when I met my fiance 6 years ago, he took me to my first AA meeting. He got sober the traditional way. So he actually had like a real problem. And he went to detox, rehab, AA. And he was what they call like an AA thumper. He went out very religiously, very cult-like-ish. Nothing against them, but it is like it's a following. It's like a religion. And so he invited me to go. And with all of my teachings, I had already been a coach for several years at that time. And everything that I was taught as a coach within the arena of life coaching and neuro-linguistic programming, I did not appreciate what they were teaching in the rooms of AA. And so I brought it to his attention after about a dozen meetings and lots of arguing, healthy arguing. And Sober Society was born, and we do things differently. We do not identify as alcoholics. We identify as positive things. We don't stay in the story of this was who I was, and this is who I was, and this is what I did. We very much stick in the future. So who are you presently, and who are you going to be, and what are you doing to keep that sobriety? And very much leaning into getting rid of limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs of, for instance, sex is better with alcohol, or I'm funnier with alcohol, or I can be in social situations better with alcohol, or alcohol calms me, or alcohol makes me more fun. We all have these limiting beliefs around what alcohol is for us, and breaking those. So there's a whole system that we go through to be able to break those limiting beliefs for a person to realize, sit back and be like, oh, actually, no, on all of those. And because we can break those limiting beliefs and people can actually start to look at alcohol for what it is, no offense to anybody listening who drinks, and then they can step away from it and lead a healthier life.
Yeah, I like it for sure. So I had a question that got slipped away, but I'm gonna keep going. Were you aware, just listening to you, Sabrina, it's clear to me that you underwent a personal transformation. Were you aware that you were going through a personal transformation?
Oh, what a good question. Was I aware that I was going through a personal transformation while I was transforming? No,
Mm.
not until more than halfway through did I start look back. And it was pivots. It was situations that I was in that I dealt with. And I paused and I was like, oh my God, I just dealt with that as a healthy person.
Mm.
It was real serious pivots like that where I would look back. I would almost expect myself to act a certain way. I was like, oh my God, I didn't freak out. I didn't act irrational. I didn't get defensive. I stayed calm. I didn't dig into that. I didn't text them back. I didn't feed into it, fuel the fire. I was
Right.
able to just speak facts, and not let my feelings get involved and be able to calm myself and think twice and allow time, all the things. So yeah, that is interesting. No.
Mhm.
However, I was on my healing journey for a very long time. It's been decades. Um, that's a lie. It's been over a decade. And um, it's been a very, very slow process. That's one of the things that I tell people all the time when they're in a hurt, traumatic, dark story. It's not, you don't just read one book. You don't just sit down with one coach for 12 sessions. I am still on a journey of healing. I still get triggered. I still have emotions that are big, that I, am learning to process and learning to go
Mhm.
through, learning to calm myself. Um, it's an ongoing thing. And that's the beauty of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it that you're still human. That's awesome. You speak about a range of topics. I'm going to touch upon a couple of them and let you dance with me on them. One is self-confidence. Was there a time when you felt you were not a confident, person? And how did you cultivate self-confidence, if that's true?
Yeah, during my last relationship, I was told all bad things about me, that I was a single mom, I was ghetto, trash, Mexican, uneducated, single mom, all the things, all the time. I was told daily, all these things. Never amount to anything. If I ever left, I'd be living in a cardboard box behind a dumpster because I can't do anything by myself. And so yeah, really low confidence when I left my whole community or when I lost my whole community, my whole family, very low very soft spoken. It's actually kind of funny. I started my YouTube channel probably when my son was like 6. And if you look at the filming of me back then and how quiet and reserved and like timid I was compared to the person I am now, it's a 100% transformation. Like
Yeah.
the way that I presented, the way I held myself, the way that I spoke was so different. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, just talk with you and watching you on social media, you are a bundle of joy and happiness and confidence. I
Yeah.
would never think that you weren't always that way.
No.
Um,
I do
so
joke, I
so
do joke with that as far as like anyone who knew me in high school would not
Mhm,
recognize me today.
mhm,
'Cause as a Jehovah's Witness, you don't talk to people outside of your religion. So I never really talked to anybody in school. I was very quiet. I was very, very timid. Didn't have a voice. I hid behind my mom all the time. And yeah, there's a lot of no confidence in my
yeah.
story.
So how do you explain this breakthrough around confidence? And you said something a moment ago that I want to go back to you with your mother. So help me remember. How do you explain this breakthrough, this clear shift in you?
I didn't do it necessarily intentionally at the time. However,
Yeah.
now I do it intentionally, but I continue to step into fear. So I continue to do hard things. I continue to push myself, evolve. I believe that your lack of confidence is not because of someone. So
Mhm.
I used to think like, I have no, and even in my story there, Like I had no confidence because my community left me, because my parents left me, because of religion, because I didn't have any friends, because like I even said it right there, right? That was my story. But what it wasn't that other people, my ex used to call me all these things, therefore I had no confidence. That's not what it is. What it is a lack of courageous acts. So because people were telling me you're not good enough, I never took courageous acts because I would fail, because I don't know anything, because I'm stupid, because I have no education, because I have no right to do that thing or think that thing or create that thing, because I don't know anything. So because I was constantly told this, I never tried anything that would be scary because I couldn't do it anyways. But what happened is during that relationship, when I was pushed to the edge of leaving, and I knew I needed to make a decision or else I would have stayed with that horrible person for the rest of my life. It forced me to make a decision in a crossroads. Like, am I going to stay with this person and just cut off all feelings and just be like this prisoner inside this man's house and his like worker horse? Or am I going to figure out a way to leave? And when I made a commitment and a decision to leave, that was me making a decision to do hard things. I had to like do stuff. I couldn't just do the same old mundane things that he was expecting me to do: clean house, take care of the dog, get groceries, to go to work, build the business, recruit, the things I was used to. I had to now do different things. They're like, I had no idea what I was doing. I had to research businesses, research how to open a business, research, how to create this, how to make funnels, how to get a certificate for coaching, all the things I had to step into all these things that I didn't know. And what happened is when I started to collect money, that was what started to build the confidence. So I was just always told, you're never going to have money. You have no money. You're ghetto. You're poor. You're a single mom. You're nothing. You don't get it because you don't have anything. You don't have any money. Mm-hmm. And whoever makes all the money makes all the rules. Whoever has all the money has all the power. Like, these are the things that were told to me for years. And then finally, I was like, I'm going to do something and see if I can collect money. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just see. And I started to collect $100 and then $200 and then $1,000. And as I started to collect money, I started to realize, oh my gosh, I'm freaking doing stuff. Like, I'm capable. I can do things on my own and I can create goodness for myself. And then 1,000 turned into 2, turned into 5, turned into 10, turned into 20. And that was, might sound bad to some people. It's like, oh, money. But that was it. That was the thing. It was like, I was told for so long that money was bad. Money was the devil. Money is not religious. And you're also too dumb, too stupid, and uneducated to even acquire any anyways. And I did. And that was the courageous. I took courageous acts to do things that I didn't know how to do. And that created confidence inside of me. And now to this day, literally yesterday, I did something that was super scary. Constantly forcing myself purposely to do things that I do not know how to do, that rise fear inside of me. Then I do it. And then boom, confidence appears immediately. So Just yesterday, I held my very first by myself. I have held events before. I have been on stages at other people's events before. My fiance and I do retreats for sobriety all the time, but that's like him and I together. Yesterday, for the very first time, I did my very first in-person event by myself. So like I was in charge of everything, the script, the people, the invites, the graphics, all by myself. I was presenting it by myself. I had partners, obviously, like that were helping with things. And yesterday afternoon, so the in-person event started at 7. It was a networking event, started at 7. Around noon, I had a total meltdown, Stephen, a total meltdown. Like, my heart was racing. I couldn't breathe. I was nauseous. I had a headache. I had another virtual event that I was running at 3. I totally broke down in the middle of that event. Like, one of the ladies had to do a meditation with me because I was like, couldn't function because I was so nervous about this thing. but like knowing that I had to do, like, I didn't even want to go. I was so nervous. Everything was going to be messed up. It was going to rain. No one was going to show up. It was going to be dumb. No one was going to like it. Everyone was going to leave early, come late, leave early. And dude, I was a wreck for hours, from like 11 or 12 all the way until maybe 6. Couldn't eat. Felt like I was going to throw up. I'm literally like over the toilet wanting to throw up, like over the sink, just like nauseous. And then showed up. And then people came. And then people had a good time. And then I'm on the mic and I'm introducing people and I'm my guest speakers, and everything flowed because I was organized and I did everything perfectly and I had it all timed out, and the place looked fantastic and everyone loved it and the feedback was great. And then I'm telling you today, dude, let's do it again. Let's do it again. And that's the confidence, right? You step into fear, you do things that don't feel good, that make you scared, and then you do with the thing. You have to commit and you have to do it. You have to like show up. I didn't want to show up, for real. I was like, let's just call it a day. Like, let's just cancel it. I don't know. I got COVID, right? We can all blame it on COVID now. But I did it. I went, and today, dude, I'm ready for the next one. Bigger, better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. A moment ago, you mentioned hiding behind your mother. And what that suggested to me, I don't know if it's true, I'm mind reading a little bit, that, growing up, you didn't own your power, but I see you now, it's like you're fully stepping into your power. Tell us about that, about, when did you begin to own your power and to express yourself as a leader, as a coach, as a change maker?
Yeah, I mean, recently, probably within the last 10 years, I've always hidden. I hid behind my mom when I was little. I hid behind my son's father while he was with me. I hid behind my abuser. He was the face of I was doing everything behind the scenes. I was running the entire company, 4 different states, 6 different offices. I had my hand in everything. I was the main contact for everybody, but he was the face. So, he ran it, even though I was doing everything behind the scenes. And so it's been that way the majority of my life. And it wasn't until I broke free from that relationship that I finally stepped into my own. And I'm still evolving. I'm still figuring out who I am and what I want to be and what I want to sound like and what I want to stand for, and really niching down on my values and my mission. And that's one of the joys about being an entrepreneur. Is the pivots, is being able to change and take away and step in and learn something new and adapt. And it's one of the things I'm good at. I'm really, really good at change. I'm really good at adapting. That's something that I pride myself on. And I mean, I love who I am now. Yeah. And I'm really excited for who I am going to become. I think it's very important to recognize like who I am today, that ran a leaders networking event with 40 people that showed up, is a totally different person than who the Sabrina needs to be to run an event with 1,000 people that show up. Yeah. It's a totally, so like, yes, good on me, right? I'm taking the steps, but there's still so much work that I have to do in order to accomplish the vision that I have for myself and my community. So I have to continue to adapt and continue to, because like if I'm having freaking nausea with 40 people in a 1,500 square foot arena, or 2,000, 2,500 something, a smaller restaurant. How is that this Sabrina going to be able to show up with energy for 1,000 people? It's a different Sabrina. Yeah. I have to continue to exercise that muscle, right? So I have to continue to exercise the muscle, grow the audience, tweak, turn, pivot, so that in 4 years, 5 years, I can step onto a stage where there's 1,000 people. But I've done so many repetitions of hard things from here today till then, that will be probably just as nauseating, but like this nauseous, not like I'm dying on my deathbed nauseous, you know.
I think it's exciting that you're evolving, that you're growing and that you're open to other things. In your talking about happiness, you are the second person that put a spin on happiness in a way that I would not have normally thought about it. That other person talks about the happiness lie. And I've gotten a glimpse of you talking about the myth of happiness. And I want you to share with us about what you mean by that. If I mess it up, tell me, you got it all wrong. But the myth of happiness.
The myth of happiness. I think that so many times individuals acute happiness with like a smile and like doing fun things. So the way that I kind of liken it is, when you're on a road trip, and have you been on a road trip before where you're driving
yes,
to like,
indeed.
Okay. So you're on a road trip, and this is not me projecting on you. You might do things totally different. But in my scenario of road trips, you're on a road trip, driver, passenger, maybe people in the back, and you get music going, and it's like fun, right? You're like, but it's kind of like people are on their phone. You're like drinking a LaCroix, eating a Jimmy stick, whatever. And some pork rinds. You always have pork rinds when you're on. Don't tell anybody. But it's kind of chill. You're kind of just waiting to get to the light. And when people talk about the happiness part, they're going to talk about their happiness when they got to the location of, right? So they're not going to talk about the happiness during the trip, if there was or wasn't any, but they're going to talk about how awesome and great and fantastic it was once you actually got to the trip. So the myth is kind of like, is it only the highs? Like, are we only really happy during the highs? Or can we be happy? Can I be happy just right now? Like after I get off the call with you and I get back to my grind, can I be happy? Or is work associated with anger, frustration, irritation? Ugh, I don't want to. It sucks, right? Can happiness be in the interim of the highs is basically my thought process. And I believe yes. When I get off the Zoom call with you here, Stephen, and I'm here and I'm bringing you joy and happiness to all of you and your viewers, the same exact excitement and happiness that I'm showing here is the same exact way that I'm going to start taking care of my day with just as much joy, just as much happiness. Like I am happy. And I'm happy whether or not I'm on stage or on some roller coaster, or I can be smiling and I can be content and I can be, excited all day, every day. I believe that is a thing. Some people call that toxic positivity, that it's not a thing. But for me, it is. And I like to talk about it because I think that there's more people in the world who are, but don't necessarily feel comfortable saying it because it's kind of looked down on. It's kind of looked down upon for real to just be walking around happy. People don't believe you. People don't believe you.
I would call it authentic happiness, because if you could be happy on the show and not happy when you get off, then there's something wrong with that one. But I think it's authentic happiness. I love it.
Yeah. I really do. So it's really just questioning it. It's not whether or not it's right or wrong, but it's just questioning it. Like sitting back and asking yourself truthfully, like, are you feeling good right now? And you can't be happy, all the time while you're working, while you're building, while you're emailing, while you're sending out, making graphics. Like you could be feeling good and just acknowledging that happiness. It doesn't have to be only during the highs.
That makes life worthwhile for sure. Now, you are a blogger and a vlogger. Firstly, for those of us who aren't sure about the difference, what is the difference? Blogger, vlogger.
So blogger is writing. So writing in a blog. Vlogging is well, so blogging is storytelling, writing. Vlogging is storytelling, video.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. So in some of your vlogs and some of your blogs, mindset has shown up.
Yeah.
What have you learned about that? Is this important? Is there such a thing as a negative mindset? Is a positive mindset? Help us understand why this is important to you.
Yeah, definitely positive and negative. And I kind of want to share a little tool here, if
Okay.
you're okay with that. I don't know if you or any of your guest speakers have talked at all about the inner child, but it's one of the tools that I have used in order to create a positive mindset for myself.
Hmm.
I've been using this theory or concept now for, I don't know, maybe 8 years. I fell upon it actually with a guest speaker on my podcast, and she had brought it up, and I dove headfirst into it right after that podcast and just totally fell in love with it and started to create a storyline for myself. So, inner child work for me, there's lots of different ways that people describe it, but for me, and the way that I use it for my clients is I believe that we are every year we've ever been. So I believe that there's a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 32-year-old, a 39-year-old, and I'm now 41, so a 40-year-old inside of me every year. And I believe that every single one of those Sabrinas lived my life for 1 year. And some of those Sabrinas had really hard years.
Mm.
Some of them were dealt really hard cards where they were dealing with depression. They were dealing with suicidal thoughts. They were dealing with alcohol. They were dealing with being raped. They were dealing with being broke. They were dealing with, parent issues, religious issues, victimhood, getting called rude names, being shamed, being blamed. And so many of those Sabrinas wanted to end their life. They did.
Yeah.
Like there are Sabrinas that were driving down a bridge in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she wanted to, on a daily basis, turn her wheel every single day to drive her car off a bridge so that she didn't have to feel her pain anymore. And every single day, that Sabrina said, if I can't do today, I can always drive this car off the bridge tomorrow.
Mm.
And she went to the office and she did her thing. And then the very next day, she came back across that bridge and she would have the same exact thought. She'd be like, yesterday was hard, but like, if I can't do it today, then I can always drive off this bridge tomorrow. And every single day for a freaking year, she freaking did it. And she continued to just stay the route. And the reason she stayed the route, and I believe that the reason every single Sabrina stayed the route, no matter what the thought process was during her journey, was every single one of them had a gut feeling, had a light, and they knew that they just had to struggle. They just had to get through their 1 year. If they could just get through their 1 year, they could hand the baton off and see. They knew that I was learning. They knew I was evolving. They knew that there was something else. They knew that I was a hard worker, that I would do whatever it takes, that I would show up for them. They didn't know what capacity, they didn't know what it would look like. It's all very dark. We still don't know, right? But they knew. And to this day, and one of the mindsets that I have, and the reason that I stay so positive is because I believe that I have a whole army of Sabrinas that are counting on me to show up fully, authentically, and with a obligation to succeed in my life and to use their stories to be able to inspire and motivate other individuals to rise up. And because I have this backing of these women who dealt with hard things, and they're like, hey, Sabrina, I got you to this point. Like, imagine a race with a baton race, right? And every woman is running as fast as she can, and she's going as hard as she can. And when you get the baton, you have to fucking show up. Excuse my language. You have to show up. You can't just quit, because every single one of those women ran as hard as they could and as fast as they could. So now I have the baton.
Yeah.
And I have to show up. I have to continue to step into fear. I have to continue to show up courageously. I have to continue to stand up and have confidence and be able to share my story and be able to share my journey, to be able to inspire other women so that I can continue and I can hand the baton off to my 42-year-old and give more, right? I don't want to be complacent. I don't want to give the same. I want to pick up the speed. I want to go 1 second faster so that she has a hand up so that she can then take the baton and move us closer to our destination. And this destination is for my community, the me's, and it's for every single one of the individuals that are within my community.
That's great. I love it. Look, may I use that? You know, the 1-year-old Stephen Middleton, the 2
Yes.
40. Okay, that's great. I love that for sure. I got one more thing that I'd like for you to chat with us about. And I'm not sure if I heard this on a vlog or some other platform, but you're all over the place. You're doing so much.
Yeah.
And it's I want your take on peak performance.
Yeah. So I teach a thing in time management and organization around 3 different things: energy, time, and attention. Energy, time, and attention. So time is linear, it's forever, right? 54 minutes have gone by right now. Whether we were talking or not talking at this point, 54 minutes have gone by. And so that's just automatic. The other 2 things in productivity, to be productive during your day as an entrepreneur, let's say, the 2 things are attention and energy. So what are you paying attention to at any given time? And where is your energy at? So peak energy for me is, I can ask you this question right now. Where do you have the most amount of energy in your day? Morning, afternoon, evening, time slots, what, when?
Morning, I suppose.
Morning. People always know real fast. They answer literally within 2 seconds, right away. Morning. I'm a morning person. I get up, I get stuff done. Like totally a morning person, right? And then they'll usually know when they start to lull off. Where do you lull? Where are you like over it? What time?
Maybe about 4 o'clock. I'm beginning
4
to
o'clock.
feel
You're
it.
out.
Yeah.
See, people know this. People know their time slots. So, but the issue is, this is not being projected on you, but for the average person, this is the issue. They're a morning person, for instance. Okay. So in their morning, they're like, okay, I'm a morning person. What am I going to do? I'm going to work out. I'm going to clean house. I'm going to do my laundry. I'm going to, whatever it is, do a bunch of things that are not conducive to whatever their main vision is. So like an entrepreneur, for instance, if we're using like one of my clients' examples, right? She wants to build her business. She wants to make more money in her business. She's a stay-at-home mom or an entrepreneur who works from home. Okay? Her morning is where she has her energy. Instead of getting up, sitting down, and just getting to work, we're told this stuff of like millionaire mornings or meditation or working out. So she's like, okay, I'm a morning person. I'm going to do my morning ritual, which is like an hour. Then I have to work out, which is an hour. Then I have to do laundry, which is 30 minutes. Then I have to clean our room, which is another 30 minutes. Then I have to eat lunch, right? Then before you know it, mop the floor. It's 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, I didn't do anything. She organized her desk. Maybe she organized her emails, whatever it is. So the idea behind the peak energy, which is what you're talking about, is when you know where you have your peak energy, that is what you're supposed to be doing, the hard things in your life. So if you're an entrepreneur, for instance, that is when you're supposed to be writing your sales funnels. That's when you're supposed to be writing your sales emails. That's when you're supposed to be writing new programs. That's when you're supposed to be doing the hard things that take mental stability to be able to do. The things that are what I call zombie tasks, like working out, mopping the floor, doing laundry, should be done during your 4 p.m.s, during the lull, because you don't need brain power to do that. But people flip it. And this is what causes procrastination. This is what causes our businesses to not take off as fluidly as they should have, is because they're missing the point of the peak. When you're at your peak performance is when you need to be doing hard things that you hate doing, things that you don't like doing, that you absolutely hate doing. that are going to move you forward. Not like, I hate cleaning the bathroom, but now I have to clean the bathroom. Not those things. I'm talking about things that help you move forward in your business, in your health, in your relationships, need to be done during the times when you're peak. And then everything else is done during the zombie times or during the low.
Wow.
You switch that up, the performance of whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're focusing on, tenfold. Guaranteed.
Look, I hear you. I'm with you. If I get on my bike at 7:00 a.m., if I'm up by 6:40 and I'm on my bike by 7, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
If I wait until after 12 o'clock, Sabrina, it may not happen. So
there you
that's
go.
what you're saying.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So those things that you know you need to do, you have to do them within your peak. And they have to be things that are moving you forward. So your health, your money, your career, your whatever it is. But the things that are moving you forward as a person, as a positive reinforcement to the community, right? To the world. Like mopping your floor is not like necessary, unless you're just a hoarder or something that's totally different, but just like on average, mopping your floor, yes, good on you. But like that shouldn't be done during your peak performance. That should be doing while you're watching Netflix during the lull time, right after dinner.
That's great. Hey, look at Sabrina, I've kept you a long time here, but I've enjoyed this conversation. I see a book in you about peak performance. When you write it, if you write it, hope you come back and have a conversation with me about that.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed our time together, truly.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Okay. Well, you've been listening to the Possibility Action Network podcast. Our guest today has been Sabrina Victoria. I'm your host, Stephen Middleton. Until next time, good day